Hi, this is author-philosopher Ronald E. Springer of EthicsUnderground.com here to continue the reading of Moral Armor. Chapter 8, Part 25, Selflessness. Please hit like and subscribe before we dive in. Selflessness is the anti-concept of stepping out of oneself as the only means of performing moral actions, an utter impossibility. It demands that you place others ahead of any routine consideration for your own survival, requiring that you make decisions, having no interest or stake in any cause you support or any action you take. It is a flagrant defiance of logic and moral judgment. Claiming the best self must be selfless is as senseless as claiming the best airplane must be planeless. It is another term to cause looping, hesitation, and thoughtless self-destruction, but is masked to mean virtue, charity, and love for others. Most know selflessness as a vague moral concept, the act of surrendering what they truly want, to settle for what they truly don't. It has been ingrained in them that to want anything for themselves is to admit the intention to sacrifice others. Spirit murderers deny the possibility of creation or work, so they view any attainment of wealth as an act of robbery. For the self-made, a self-sustaining or selfish action is simply the cognitive act of evaluation, coupled with the moral choice of life, the act of valuing. To be selfless is to have no self, to wipe oneself out of existence in regard to all one loves, to reflect no judgment, and to display no pride for personal value. Without a self, who then is to love? Without a self, who then is to live? For years, people denounced my goals, focusing on the most visible results, especially the exotic cars. With a not-so-well-concealed sneer, I'd hear against my Lamborghini, "Was it all you had hoped it would be?" I'd reply, "It turned out to be more significant than I ever thought possible." But missing the effect they sought, they were no longer listening. Because of that childhood dream, I learned the real estate business, law, and economics. The study of law led me to history, philosophy, and psychology. Even the deflection from my proper course, which brings me before you now, was still only a product of that dream. On the other side of the goal, I was raised from the poverty level to upper middle class, all due to action taken on an innocent childhood inspiration. I've been able to give gifts of world travel to those I've loved and have shown them wonders they'd never seen. I evolved as a center of knowledge, wealth, and life, whereas in their fully altruistic interchangeability, my critics can still barely get themselves or others across the street. Still, my effort was damned for years as immoral. In some circles, it has come to the point where breathing is considered a selfish action to be apologized for, where the first hedonistic action is considered thought. The self-made know better and treat any mention of selfless expectations or selfish denunciations as an alarm for the acute awareness of motive. Every human being is a sum of virtues. If you become a greater sum, the world is richer for it. Selflessness demands the opposite, that you skin yourself alive, gauging your moral worth to how thoroughly you can rake over the most sensitive, intimate areas of your body and mind without reaction. By their code, if you are self-abasing enough to catapult your clean body into stagnant filth, you win, but not if you're still breathing. Selflessness requires sacrificing the products of individual action based on a sound value hierarchy without the means to derive one, a self. It implies that the only alternative is to hedonistically destroy others, to be selfish, leaving no room for, and never mentioning, civility, a rational coexistence between men. Our honorable system of payment for services rendered is evil to them, as they do not intend to pay. Likewise, they don't ask for payment because they don't intend to produce anything of value. There is no selfless giving without a self that does the giving. Nothing human is selfless. Be warned, if the beneficial actions of self are to be consumed in selfless channels, the enterprise is a con. If they continue to demand selflessness, fine. Let them have exactly what they are asking for. Tell them, selfless service? Selfless love? No problem. Myself has nothing to do with it. There are all kinds of charities I have been generous to in selfless dedication. Myself was never there. Myself gave nothing, and it will stay that way until I see them acknowledging the value of every self. But by that time, graft-style charities, dependence on dependency, will have disappeared. Sooner or later, We had to come to the truth of the matter. Haters of the self-serving hate themselves. Spirit murderers have destroyed themselves, the self they hate, and claim it a virtue for you to follow suit, to subject you to the same constant torture it has brought into their lives. But a self must do the work of life. So like a vacuum, they suck the self out of you to replace the one with which they live at odds, substituting their body as its benefactor. Hang on to it instead. Oneself is an endlessly exciting exploration, unless of course one has no self, and that is the key to the riddle. That's all for now. Next up is turning the other cheek. I split these videos up by subject so you'd have a better chance of finding moral armor and then perhaps go through the whole thing for free. Why? To help create a leader in every life. Sound civilization stair steps up from sound coherence to sound individual to productive groups of mature individuals. Self-hatred drives fear-driven people in our world to wipe out the individual. So we all need moral armor to protect ourselves and the future of mankind. Click subscribe and leave a thumbs up if you'd like to help wipe out moral confusion fast and make the world a better place.